Well, hello. Welcome to the Desert Goat channel. Tonight's stream, Leon Valley. And as you can all tell, I'm using Leon Valley's webpage.
See, I was going to find a reason to complain, but then you had me at Whataburger. So, sure.
Okay, everybody ready? It is now 5:30 p.m. Good evening. Today is, it's August the 3rd, 2021, and welcome to the Leon Valley City Council regular meeting. As you can see, we do have a quorum. All city council members are present. And I would ask our Mayor Pro Tem to please lead us, Will Bradshaw, in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Before we begin tonight, I'll just summarize the rules of decorum before we go into executive session. Please silence your cell phones before we begin and during the meeting, please. Please treat one another with respect and dignity and listen to one another. Please do not single out any council or staff member. If you have an issue with anyone, please bring it to my attention so that we can address it. Anyone who disrupts the orderly conduct of the meeting will be asked to remove themselves to the foyer. I'm confident that this will not happen at tonight's meeting, since we all know how to conduct ourselves. We want to hear from all of you on the issues and policies facing our community. Anyone wanting to speak during the meeting, citizens, council members, staff, and guests must be first recognized by the presiding officer, the mayor, at any time during the agenda. And the time limit for that citizens to be heard or to speak on an agenda item is 3 minutes for citizens and guests. I will no longer formally ask anyone to speak on each agenda item like we had in the past. Just raise your hand and you'll be recognized, which usually occurs after staff presentation and council questions and discussion. There will be 10 minutes allowed for each presentation. There's no time limit for council discussion, but please be cognizant of the time. The goal is to hear from all councilmen first before a council member speaks the second time. So thank you for your cooperation and understanding, and let's begin with the executive session, and let me read that, please. Pursuant to Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Section 551.071, consultation with counsel on legal matters to receive legal advice with respect to pending litigation regarding cause number 2018 CV 00594, Robert and Gail Tribble versus the City of Leon Valley Board of Adjustment. And at approximately 5:33, we will move to executive session. Thank you so much. We stand in recess until we get back.
Damn, straight off the bat. Yeah, guys, LOL, man, laugh out loud. The recess is disrespectful. But yeah, guys, this is typical Leon Valley crap. They start off right off the bat, and just like that, bam, jump into recess. You know, seriously, what a waste of money. You know, it's just. But yeah, guys, as always, it's gonna take them about what 30 minutes to jump in and do their whole, I don't know why I bother with Leon. Maybe they're afraid of being Godified certified. And yes, Justin Pulliam, if you want to come in, you can come into my room. You'll be safe in my room. I won't block you. But yeah, guys, seriously, I mean, meeting starts. Let's go into recess. Why the hell go into a recess? I mean, I can understand if it's a 3-hour meeting and it's like, okay, we've been gone for an hour and a half, let's take a break, but maybe this is what Justin meant by interfering with his work. Freedom of press. You know, only he can film Leon Valley. Yeah, show me that in the Constitution. Show me the law. But seriously, guys, this is where I get my information from. I am at home using my computer. I have every right to do so legally. And Justin knows if he doesn't want me to do it when he's doing it, all he has to do is call. I'll respect him on it. He knows this already. I've told him. Face to face, less than 3 feet from him. But then again, that was 9 months ago, so I don't think he'll remember. And yes, Hall, that was the last time I've ever seen him in person. It was 9 months ago. Yes, guys, they are still in recess. Talk about a waste of money. Good thing they don't work in construction or anything like that, because nothing will ever get done. And again, sorry guys that it's taking so long on their recess. But we all know how Leon Valley acts. Hi, come on, council people, earn your pay. And they're still on recess. What the hell? Yeah, about 27 minutes into a recess. What are they doing? Poor Dirt Farmer. Hello, hello. Sorry, guys, if this is a boring stream. Um, they've been in recess over 30 minutes now, so please be patient with me. Yeah. I can't make him do anything. Will not make him do anything. Yeah, guys, like I said, please be patient. Leon Valley, as you can see, they're hard at work. Well, hardly working. You know, me personally, I think the reason for the recess should have been saved during the middle of the meeting, or should have been done after the meeting, you know, got together, then bring it up in the next meeting. But that's too easy. Yeah. Rob, yeah. Oh, I'm not worried about Justin. I mean, he's an okay guy. You know, seriously, I respected the man. You know, always treated him with respect. You know, and he just all of a sudden just went out all out crazy on me. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with the guy. Personally, I would like to have a sit down with the guy and literally, you know, man to man, you know, what's going on? What exactly did I do to you? But yeah, that's okay, man. I'll still respect the guy. No matter how far he may go. I mean, as long as he doesn't get too far into the defamation of character on me, I'm okay. I mean, yeah, I was a little upset when he started his nonsense, but still. I'm still trying to figure out how I was interfering with him. Since the last time I filmed with him, it was about, I can't remember if it was 7 months or it was 9 months. I mean, I got 2 videos. I mean, I had to literally go back, review my videos, look at them, and go like, okay, you know, that's the only time I can think of. And Justin Pulliam, my offer still stands, buddy. If you ever want to do a cop watch, we can cop watch. You know, as always, I am a backup cam guy. I know where the cops down here get a little crazy on their, like, speed traps. So, we'll go. Yeah, Rob. Well, I know everybody's got their own thing. You know, as I just said, I'm a backup camera guy. You know, if an auditor asks me to be a backup cam, it don't matter if it's Justin, Sheepdog, News Now Patrick, News Now 702, whoever. I'll film with them. I'll respect them. But that's about it. You know, a lot of people I'm okay with, I'm cool with, because I'm okay with a sheepdog. You know, but, you know, just people get a little crazy, and it's just like I let people be people. You know, sheepdog. I mean, I have family members that are like sheepdog. So to me, it's just, you know, a comfortable thing. You know, it's just I pay no attention to it. But yeah, Rob, Pete, your level of conversation is okay as long as you're respectful on how you do it. You can tell me why you dislike somebody or not, as long as you're respectful about it, polite about it. But yeah, the thing between Justin and Sheepdog, I know how that ended. And it's just, dude, you know, I know who started it. Well, I can't say I know who started it. I'm only getting one side of the story. And I can't get the other person to talk to me. And yes, Justin, contact me. I would love to get your end of the story. Ah, yes, Eggy. Yeah, Patrick, he does a lot of things that me personally, I may not like it. Now, I'm not sure if you're referencing this, but like the night that he went out with the flashlights, that's one thing I will never do. But as always, what News Now Patrick does on his channel is his thing. He's a grown man. I can't tell him what to do. You know, it's like most of the people that chat in my room. You know, you're all adults. I can't tell you what to do. I will not tell you what to do. You know, you're free to make up your own minds. And as always, I encourage you to think for yourself. If I tell you something, check it out. Do your own research. Be your own fact checker. Well, Eggy, yeah, you got a good point there. You know, Patrick, he does try to get content for his channel. That's his way of doing things. You know, which is okay by me. That's his thing. You know, anybody who's ever come to my channel, who's ever seen me do whatever I do, you know, I don't, you know, get up in people's faces or anything like that. I don't use flashlights on people. but I'm cool with that. I always try treating people with respect. Always treat people with respect. But Eggy392. I remember seeing you in my channel before. If you don't mind me asking, how long have you been a follower on my channel? No problem, Rob. With me, I always was looking forward to Justin Pulliam to cover it, but Justin has found Joseph Aggio, so he's got better things to do. Okay, Eggy392, yeah, you're a mod now. Like I said, I've seen you on my channel before, and it's like I remember it. You've been on enough times, so it's like, okay. You've always been respectful. You're cool. So you're a mod now. Yeah, well, I know you don't need a wrench, Aggie, but with me, I always, it's my belief you keep what you earn. And because you've earned my respect, I don't want somebody to get upset with you and kick you out of my stream. You're a loyal follower, and I would like you to stay a loyal follower, so you're good. Yes, well, I try to avoid such things as that. I really do. I try to avoid conflicts like that. Yeah. Well, as I will tell you, as I tell other people in my area, save the drama for the soap operas, the TV shows. Don't play that. Well, guys, I'm gonna go outside and smoke. But the thing is my computer's running. That's what you're hearing me on now. But I'll be on my cell phone, and anything you guys would like to say to me, feel free to say so, and I will respond to you in the chat. Sorry guys for all the background noise. Sorry guys for all the background noise. Sorry guys for all the background noise. Okay, sorry about the echo, guys. Yeah, well, I know Justin changed his plan recently. I don't know what he's doing. You know, Justin he's a grown man. He makes up his own mind. As always, I don't keep track of anybody. I'm just a backup cam guy. I just wait until somebody calls, and if they call and saying they need me, I'm there. If not, I'm always at home. Excuse me. Yeah, the voice you guys hear in the background, that's Mama Goat. Justin Pulliam just entered the building. Well, the Leon Valley building, not my own. Yeah, guys, they're still in recess. And feel free to go to Justin Pulliam's channel. Excuse me. Well, Leon Valley is about to get interesting. As I said, guys, in the chat, things might get interesting. Wow, guys, well over an hour, into their so called recess. What are they doing? What are they doing back there? And please, guys, out of respect, sorry, excuse me, out of respect, if you, it's okay if you go to Justin Pulliam's channel. All that I ask is that you guys be very respectful. The whole please, thank you, yes sir, no sir, that kind of a thing. Don't be rude. Always be respectful. Always be a good neighbor. Okay, guys, they are back. They are back.
Alright, we're back from secret session now, so we're going in a few minutes audience. You have your President Bradshaw there, still on the dais after all this time. Right? Oh, yeah. Manager's here.
Okay. Everybody?
Hired.
Okay. We're waiting for, well, we'll go ahead. We do have a quorum, so let's go ahead and come on back to reconvene into a regular session and take action on issues discussed in executive session. And the time is 6:53. And Mr. Martinez, I believe you have a motion.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we allow the city manager to negotiate a settlement on the Trimble case.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilor Martinez and a second by Councilor Stevens to request the city manager to negotiate a settlement on this case. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. All right. Moving then to citizens to be heard. Is there anyone in our chambers that would like to address the council at this time? On citizens to be heard, you have 3 minutes to state your issues. Thank you. Mr. Pulliam, I believe you have your hand up first. Thank you.
Mayor Riley
You
and
bet.
council, and it's good to see everyone again. I came down today. I was actually up the road a little bit, but I came down to this meeting because I had, thank you, Mr. Mott, I had received some complaints, unfortunately, about the new city
And
manager.
keep in mind,
And that was
guys, this
concerning to me
is
because I've worked
straight
a lot
from
of time
Leon Valley's
and hours here, and
webpage.
there's been litigation and just a lot of issues about whether or not people, including those on the dais, have First Amendment
Straight
rights.
from
And
Leon
the
Valley
federal courts have
webpage.
affirmed that, yes, indeed, the public,
And
the
you would
elected
notice
officials, the staff
if
have
you were to watch
First
the
Amendment
beginning.
rights. And I just hope that we go forward and uphold everyone's rights and not have any sort of issues of encroachment upon the elected officials. And so it's great to see everyone, and I just hope that there's no encroachment. So thank you, Mayor and Council.
Okay, thank you very much. Do appreciate that. Anyone else in the chambers? Yes, Mr. Mata, good evening and welcome.
Eric Mata, Canterfield. Yeah, so it's unfortunate, the citizens of this community, we find ourselves in a position where we're not privy to what takes place in these executive sessions. So if there's one thing I would say, it's encourage you guys to be as open and transparent with the community as you can. I understand there's constraints on that legally, but specifically in regards to Gail and Bob Tribble and the unfortunate circumstances that they've been faced with over the last couple of years. I'm encouraged to hear that we're at a point where maybe we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Very sad chapter in Leon Valley. I was at the coffee with the mayor, or was at a town hall a couple weekends ago.
Coffee.
So former appointed councilman Matt Hody stated that, or inferred that, we should leave the past behind, right? Well, it's sad that we still have the after effects of the past. And I'm proud and encouraged that you guys are dealing with this and doing right by citizens longtime citizens of this community who have done nothing but serve the community in a positive way. Okay, so I hope in the future we never have a situation where a city council is misled in any way, or a situation where a council only hears one side of the story. I've been arguing for that for months, ever since y'all started these executive sessions, that it's not fair that the Tribble side of the case is not heard. Because I think we wasted a lot of money and time being lied to and misled by another municipal attorney. Really, I hate to say it, but we're finding more and more that they're leeches. And we, the taxpayers, should stand up and say no to this. That should be enough. And I thank you for the role you've played in setting this right. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Anyone else? All right, I have two citizens to be heard letters that we received. One was from Gloria Crawford last Saturday, and the subject was mask mandate. Will there be any efforts to enforce indoor mask requirements with Leon Valley businesses? I have noticed convenience stores have signs posted, but customers do not comply and bring their small unmasked children in too. We seem to have a vagrant problem, and some convenience stores cater to products used for drugs. I feel it is unsafe to enter convenience stores that are not enforcing their mask policy posted. I am concerned about the poor children being exposed to COVID by irresponsible parents who are not forced to wear masks and mask their children. Convenience stores are enabling the spread of COVID for their own selfish gain. And the next one is from Bob Page, received this evening. Mayor and Ms. Pothole, thank you very much for wearing masks tonight. So happy to see there are at least two members of the administration who take the health of others around them into consideration. All right, so those two will be part of the record. All right. Then moving on to presentations, we have, and I didn't say thank you for your patience in waiting for us to come out of executive session. We thank you very much. As you know, this council takes the work of the city very, very seriously. And we apologize for any inconvenience that we may have caused you by having to sit longer than we wanted you to. So thank you for your patience. And I have requested at these presentations, the presentations now, 10 minutes, no more than 10 minutes. We're going to time you. And then again, we'll have the discussion. There's not any limit on the council discussion, but they are aware of the time that we're starting this evening. So,
Mayor, point of order.
Yes.
I'd just like to bring up, there are a couple of items on the agenda that were, we extended meetings in the past. We suspended our own rules in order to hear those for a first read. I think we should move those items to the front of the agenda to be able to address them first. Those are 9.1, 9.5, and 9.6. So I would so move.
Okay, hang on just a minute. You're ahead of me here. Okay. So you want to take 9.1.
9.1, 9.5, and 9.6 were all moved after the bewitching hour at previous meetings to have a first read. And now we have them somewhat buried in the agenda. So I'd like to bring those to the top of the agenda.
Oh, you know what I did? We just put all the first reads together. So you don't want to take all the first reads together? You'd rather pull those?
No, I'm saying those items were taken at a previous meeting, and we said we have to have them for a first read, so we have to extend the meeting. So those were urgent items, so I think we should address those. I mean, one's accepting a grant and the related budget adjustment, right? It's stuff that's easy stuff.
Okay, so let me see if you have a second here.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a second. So we have a motion by Councilor Hefner and a second by Councilor Bradshaw to move to the head of the agenda 9.1, 9.5, and 9.6. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. So with that, we will move to 9.1. And Ms. Postlewaite, if you'll please read that ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas, City Council amending Section 15.02.306D zoning code regarding setbacks for accessory buildings in the R1 Single Family Dwelling District, providing for repeal or severability and savings clause, and for providing for an effective date.
Okay. Well, I was going to say we moved it up and he's not here, so we'll have to wait. Okay. Okay, let's move on to 9.6 is the chief, and he's here. Chief, we'll take you next. And Ms. Postlewaite, I know we're making havoc of your minutes, but anyway, you're very patient with us as well.
Guys,
Would you
this
please read the
Christian
ordinance for
sheepdog
9.6, and we'll take
is
you
there on
first.
Leon Valley.
Hold on.
He
An
has
ordinance
given
of the
me
City of
permission
Leon
to
Valley,
use his
Texas, City
stream, so
Council
we're going to go to
accepting the
sheepdog
Texas
camp.
Regional Advisory Council Trauma System Grant in the amount of $14,069.50, amending the general fund budget of the City of Leon Valley, Texas municipal budget for the fiscal year 2020-2021 in the amount of $14,000.
Exit. YouTube. Yeah, sorry guys, I kind of talked to myself. Please be patient, guys. Cheap computer. I should say technical difficulties.
To make allegations that somebody is committing a criminal offense, then you need to do something other than run and not run from the allegation and address the allegation, especially if the person you're making the allegation against is saying that you're lying. Certainly you need to provide some evidence of the extortion. Now, blackmail is known as extortion in Texas, and it's not a crime to threaten to publish embarrassing information about somebody unless you are saying, give me money or I will publish this information. That's the key thing, is you have to say, give me money or I will publish this. That never happened. So does Justin know this? Surely he should. He's a college educated man. The law is, yeah, the law is real easy to read, but we have to see what the deal is. Thank you. How you doing, man?
Good.
Hey, you're a good-looking character.
Ah,
You're all cleaned up, man. He is. All right.
you guys doing all right?
We're doing good.
Thank you. You're gonna need more.
All right. Oh, I didn't even need this. Damn it.
I'm glad you came in, and now we know how wand works.
Oh, let's see. You can go do whatever you need to do there, sir. I appreciate it. Security is important. You know, I'm in line with security. I wouldn't object if you dumped it out. That's
You know, try not to do that.
no, you're doing good. That's no problem at all. I got a handheld camera in there.
You know, okay, are those yours or those ours?
Those are yours.
There you go, man.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just seeing if it's running. Yeah, it's running. Cool. Cool deal. Guys, I can't see the comments right now, so see it is, and then we'll start interacting at that time. Thank you, sir.
See you later. Have a good one.
Thank you. Missionary. Patrick's already starting with the missionary stuff. That is so funny. Oh, good Lord. Hello. That's a pretty bow.
Hi, thanks.
Hi. Oh, have we met? No, we. Oh, okay. Very cool. Very cool. All right. I can't tell because of the mask. I don't work. Can't see faces. There's a lot of people here. Are you interested in like ceremonies or awards? You have to talk.
I just don't have enough data.
Okay, great. Awesome. Cool. Y'all won something or no?
Yeah, Jubilees and Daryl, the Trump school that's teachers at Leon Bell.
We haven't
Yeah, we
gotten
had
the actual appraisal been, declaring how much damage has been done.
Well,
But
congratulations.
we do know
Right, cool.
that they're going to have to rebuild, and so the verdict is still out on whether or not
Hello.
they're not going to be able to rebuild the existing regulations that we're not even talking about tonight. But I can.
Scanning for a place to sit.
When they do rebuild for this ordinance, they will have to install all mechanical equipment of 1 foot above base flood over elevation. I talked to them, I met with them last week, and they said their equipment.
Patrick is sitting right next to Justin.
It's not going to affect them, I just wanted to use an example because there's somebody that we're aware of that has been affected by this. So anybody today that will be rebuilding, they will absolutely have to rate the mechanical equipment for this ordinance. And before this ordinance, they wouldn't have to. So that I can guarantee you that will be in effect.
Just if they're gonna rebuild.
Hello, sir.
Can you clarify, so the structures, I know, the example given last time was like air conditioner, unit for the outdoor component. But is there indoor components that are affected, like anything in, it's all exterior?
It's anything exterior, right?
Would have
Absolutely.
to.
So again, to reiterate,
Yeah.
what this is specific to is mechanical equipment.
Okay.
pleasure of the council on this.
So I'll motion that we approve it.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilor Stevens and a second by Councilor Hefner to approve 9.5 as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. All right, very good. Thank you. And now we'll move back. Thank you, Mr. Long. We'll move back then to presentations, which is agenda item number 5. 5.1, presentation of the quarterly financial report ending June 30th, 2021. And we have Floyd Messick, Assistant Director. Good evening, welcome.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, so tonight's financial report for the quarter ending June 30th. And of course, June 30th would be 75% through our fiscal year. Therefore, our projected target rate would be 75% on our revenues and expenses. So just the overview of the general fund picture, our revenues are slightly under 10 billion, expenses slightly under 9.3. That's a $700,000 spread of revenues over expenses. Our top lines are a summary of, I'm looking at this, what's not hitting the target, 75%. Obviously, I want to know why that is. Sales taxes at 64.1%, but we know they're 2 months behind. So really the target for that is 58.1%. And I just want to move forward. Just go ahead to the sales tax slide here real fast. Of course, what we're seeing now is pre and post comparison of sales tax numbers. So obviously the numbers coming in now are going to look much stronger than what we had last year. As of this report, last year, we're what was collected last year.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Any questions?
And yes, and Mr. Hefner has a question.
Sorry, is it possible to compare these to the 2019 numbers to get a more accurate?
It is, as you can see those right there. It is just another column over 18, 19. But yes, and that was something I was debating at this point. Would it make sense to go back and just let's compare it to a normal year?
Okay, guys, something's going on with it.
License plate 59349.
Let me remove that before I get copy striked. Okay. And see, guys, this is where I get my information. Well, from Leon Valley anyways. So, see, I'm not stealing from nobody that does the 1A.
I was going to ask you, I mean, we are in the hole, so what is the projection for the fiscal year? Does it look like we'll make it up and break even, or we just don't know?
Mayor,
That's the
Ms.
$1
Law
million
was
question.
strictly
Okay.
told me never ever give an estimate. Just don't
Okay.
do it. It's too
Just
early in
thought
the
I'd-
game. It'll come back
Just
to
thought I'd
bite you.
ask.
But yeah, I mean, this
Okay,
one's
it's
obviously
not, we're
going to
not too far behind
underperform.
it, boy.
Yeah,
It's
it's
always
gonna
been the other
underperform.
way around. We've always been, we've always had more revenue than the expenses, so this is the first year it's been like this.
Yeah, yes,
So, okay, any other questions or comments on the impound lot? All right, thank you, sir.
Oops, sorry. Economic and community development. Again, with the sales tax revenue, obviously 2 months behind. So these are pretty good numbers and a pretty good spread of revenue over expenses. On the expenditures on the bottom, the one that says contractual, that's where your project funding line will fall into.
Mhm.
And so within that, we've budgeted 137,000. So far expensed about 8,500, so still about 129,000. The two projects as of June 30th are up here for Smash Dance and Fajita Express. Of course, there's other things that were approved
Right.
that haven't hit the books yet, and some other things that happened in July. But as far as June 30th, yes,
Right, I'm remembering the chamber, we have that expense. I don't know about anything else, though.
the
So,
sorry.
okay.
I was just talking.
So
with
you'll
Mr. Cox
update
about
it
that.
at the next?
Yeah, as soon as they hit the
Okay.
books. So what we're doing here is just showing them what's hit the books.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, very good, thank you.
Water and sewer, again, I'm pleased with what I see here on both the revenues and the expenditure sides. Revenues clocking in 76.6% and expenses 50%. Of course, there's still some expenditures that were budgeted for projects that are ongoing in all these departments, water, sewer, and stormwater and whatnot. So later on, depending on how those projects play out when they complete, we can see those expenses going up.
Okay,
So, questions on your water?
okay, thank you.
Trying to keep it under 5.
Yes, you're doing good.
Your community center for the month of June, it's starting to pick up.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I see that.
So last year there was, as you can see, there's a lot of fees and the rental fees. Those are going to start going down because we started to refund those, obviously because of COVID last year. That's on the right, your far right columns. And so that you'll see those going down in the future months as we do these. And the ones in the middle, hopefully now that we're open for business again, they're going to start going up. But
And that hotel motel tax is based on how many, just one hotel?
no matter, we have 3.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's
two
right,
of them
but
are-
the in-town suites are long-term, so.
Yes.
Right, okay. That's still pretty good.
Yeah, not bad,
Okay.
really. Any questions on your community center?
Okay, very good.
And
All
that's
right,
it.
yes, we do have one other comment from Mr.
Sorry,
Hefner.
if we can go back one slide. So the hotel motel tax, just 'cause I know we're going to talk about that on another agenda item this evening. Is that funding exclusively for the community center? All 100% of the revenue we generate from hotel motel?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Mr. Martinez?
I have 2 questions. I hope you can answer them in regards to the check register. Who's Gerald Kirkendall?
Kirkendall?
No, we spent $14,000 on him.
Can you reference a page number?
David
sir?
knows.
What page number were you looking at?
Okay, excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Demline knows.
Yes, Counselor. He is associated with the seal coating that's going on at the parking lot of the conference center, community center, and library.
Oh,
So they're handling the seal coating and the restriping.
Okay, my second question is the Armstrong
that's our
Vaughn
audit.
and Associates.
That's our audit. Armstrong Vaughn is
Oh,
our
wait for the
auditors,
question, sorry.
right?
They are our auditors, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, since we had that, I would like, I just noticed also in the check register, Ardura, could you just itemize, are those per project that we're paying them for engineering fees?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just was curious as to what projects those fees were associated with. At your convenience, no rush. Okay, thank you. Yes, any other questions from the council? If not, Mr. Pulliam, go ahead. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Messick. And we do have another question.
Justin Pulliam, Fort Bend County.
So it's a question comment. I noticed that on the impound lot page, the revenues, it's down. And I wonder if the council should take up whether or not that project should continue operating. As time goes forwards, I would think that the so-called junk vehicles, eventually those have been removed from the properties, and they're probably not going to be replaced as highly of a rate. Perhaps it returns to more community-oriented policing, where instead of every stop where someone's car could be impounded, maybe just those where it's really, really prudent the car is impounded, and it might be that the number of cars in impound lot just don't justify it, and maybe the city just uses whatever tow company. It would be great for there to be multiple tow companies to service this area, but let the private impound lots and maybe that employee, that personnel time, that resources could be put to use for more productive services for the city. I'm not confident that having employees that just manage impounded vehicles is absolutely like the most pressing manpower issue for city employees. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you very much. All right. I believe that's it, Mr. Messick. Thank you so much. And we will move on to our next presentation. A presentation of the 2021 4th of July event wrap-up. And we have Maribel Mendoza, our Special Events Coordinator, here this evening to present. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
So really quick, I would like to start off with presenting our parade winners, which we do have here. We have Jubilee Sendera, who won first place.
Okay, very good. Are we going to give them a trophy or something? Yay. Way to go, Sendera, Jubilee Sendera.
Still in it.
People are watching from home.
Yes, that's right. We have people at home that. All right. Thank you for your participation. Really appreciate it.
And now we have our second place winner, American Legion.
All right, American Legion, way to go. All right. How you doing? Okay. Thank you very much. And we appreciate the American Legion's participation as well. Thank you. All right.
So the purpose, again, of this presentation is to present the wrap-up for the city's annual 4th of July celebration.
Yes.
So we,
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Mr. Hefner has a question.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just curious. Off of that picture, I think when we saw them getting up on the ladder truck or whatever, we were talking about, are they estimating? Do we have an estimate for how many people came?
From my understanding, it was between, 7,000, 5,000 to 7,000.
Mm-hmm.
So this was pre.
That was pre.
That was
yeah,
pre.
I
This
thought,
was,
you know, I
as
knew
soon
we
as
had
the
more
sun
than
went
that.
down, sunset, there was a lot more people.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Question too.
So we begin with our in-kind and monetary sponsors. We have Image 360, who sponsored one of the banners, which was the main banner that our city council carried through the parade. Tiger Sanitation with their trash cans and bins all around the park. We have the LVE and the CD Advisory Committee with $10,000 and the Leon Valley Storage with $10,000. We have our park set up and staging total. There was a correction there because we still don't have an estimation on we don't have an exact invoice yet from our electrician. He's been out of town and hasn't been able to send me the correct invoice yet. So we have spent $5,475 on your barricades, cones, message boards, and your delivery and pickup. You also spent $6,123 on your portable restrooms, sanitizing stations, light towers, generators, and also delivery and pickup. Festival entertainment total was $8,010, which included your fireworks, portacles, the DJ, ATMs, and a balloon artist. Advertisement and signage, $2,224, which included your postcards, Facebook advertisement, and another parade banner, which held all of the sponsors. Miscellaneous items, we spent a total of $2,417, which included the parade trophies, 4th of July decor, which we can definitely use again, which was recycled. Our volunteer and staff shirts, again, we were able to use those again next year, which we don't have to make that expense. We ordered another parade banner that had all of had big HEB Grand Marshal, so that was another expense, and then food for staff and one of the dispatchers for our event. Staff overtime was $29,987. So just a summary of all of our expenditures total. Estimate of final total expenditures is $57,237. Again, we haven't received all of the final invoices yet, so this is just a rough estimate on it. We have our event feedback, 5K run walk, more volunteers, definitely need more volunteers to direct traffic. I know there was some confusion on the markers that were on the floor. So more volunteers to direct runners, but overall, the Leon Valley Historical Society put on a very successful 5K. The parade postcards definitely need to be simplified, maybe define the road closures a lot better. A lot of people enjoyed the evening parade versus the morning parade. And then maybe pass out goodie bags during the parade, because I know we're not allowed, or no one's allowed to throw anything for safety concerns. So maybe that could be another idea, that we can pass out goodie bags alongside the parade route. Food trucks, weren't expecting the 5,000 to 7,000 people there, so definitely more food trucks in the future, and more lighting and recycling bins. I know the mayor mentioned we had a lot of trash cans, which helped out the trash collection at the end of the event. The recycling bins would have been great as well. Fireworks, looking into synchronized fireworks with music and maybe high altitude this time to see what that would cost for next year. We would need fencing around the fireworks. Our fire department saw that some of the fireworks were being popped at the small pavilion, and they had to stop them, of course. We didn't have enough parking, but that had to do with the planning and the time frame we had. We typically have Bandera Bowling as one of our shuttle sites, but because they also had an event going on, we weren't able to use their parking lot this time. And then more traffic control, of course. So fiscal impact, budget adjustment will be presented to City Council after all the invoices have been submitted and received, and then I can come back with the final number.
Okay.
And next year's option. So we have an opportunity to book a band for next year, which would be the Spasmatics. I'm not too sure if anyone has heard of them. They're pretty popular around our area, and they have agreed to work with us to perform, but of course we just need our City Council approval to start that contract. They are requesting 50% down for the deposit. We are able to actually pay that for they'll wait for us till October 1st to pay that amount for next fiscal year, but we do need a decision in order to book them and sign the contract. And I stand for any questions.
I had a question, and that is, so you're coming back for a budget adjustment, and so as I made a note, $22,750 is what we got for. Oh, but you know what? $2,500 of that was in kind.
Correct.
So that's 10,000. So 20,250 was actual. No, that's in kind. So 20,000. I better take that back. Okay, was what we got in from our sponsors, and our expenditures is $57,237.76. So anyway, the balance will. Do we have another set amount in the budget set for the 4th of July?
We do.
And what was that?
50,000.
50.
So we might not need a budget adjustment. I'm
Okay,
just waiting
that's
for.
okay, that's what I didn't know. I couldn't remember how much we set aside. So if we had set aside 50, then we should be okay.
Yes, I just
Even
want to
with
make
the
sure when
3,000.
all the invoices come
Gotcha.
in,
All right.
we're good to go
I'm good.
before I say we don't need one and all of a sudden we do.
Okay. Yes. All right. Very good. Okay. That's was my question. And I wanted to say that Councilor Bradshaw passed out cookies at the parade, and it was really, really popular. Packaged cookies, I want to say. So, thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Cookies and Fiesta medals.
There you go. Yes,
And I was
that's
running
right.
all over the place. So yes, I agree. Next year, maybe somebody else can help pass out stuff.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it was a good event. I thought the parade was successful. I think a lot of people that I talked to liked the fact that they were just at the parade and then just in their
Right.
park, right? So that worked out well. I agree with some of the things you've already put in here about the high altitude fireworks. You know, I was also able to go to Helota's because they did theirs on the 3rd, the day before. So I went to Helota's, and I'm pretty sure they had high altitude fireworks. Or maybe that's closer, I don't know. And then the lights. So a lot of people I talked to, you know, when the mayor was giving her presentation, they didn't even know that was going on. The sound system wasn't the best, and they didn't know about it. So I would propose for next year, if we do it all at the same time, have the lights on, because I don't think we did. I think it got kind of dark. So I would say as soon as it gets to be dusk, turn the lights on so that people can find their seats and people know what's going on. And then right before the fireworks start, then dim the lights.
And have the fireworks.
So I think that would be good. And then, yeah, I agree. Parking was an issue. Some people I talked to came and then they left because they couldn't even find parking, and then obviously more than the trucks. So overall, you know, for considering we didn't know how things were going to happen with COVID and everything, I think it was a successful event. I hope next year could be better.
Okay. Very good. Yes. Mr. Martinez.
Again, I'd like to say this was a very successful event, especially when you consider the short time frame to get it put on. It was very well attended, and one of the things I would like to state, I had to park at the library, so after the event I had to walk the whole park, and I was really impressed how clean people left it. I was expecting a lot of trash just left on the ground, but it was very, very clean, a lot cleaner than I thought. That's it. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Yes, Mr. Alaska.
I just want to thank you. That was you, city managers, and everything did a great job. And for the short, like Mr. Martinez said, the short time frame that you had was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Stevens.
I'll comment also.
Yeah.
I think y'all did a great job for a last minute deal. I think there's some room for improvement on some of the things that have been mentioned. Just regarding the last minute preparations, I'd like to see, especially if we have the spasmatics, which I'm completely okay with, that we get back the stage that we had like a couple years ago, or the big stage with good lights and stuff.
And a better sound system.
And a much better sound, yeah. So, and Eric can tell you about sound systems. I don't know that much about him, but the postcard was the other thing. So we can work with you on that. But you kind of are looking for a consensus regarding the spasmatics and
correct.
Okay, and so my opinion is in favor of that. So
they do get booked out pretty quickly, and they were actually excited that we reached out to them. I think they have been on a yearly basis. I think it was Live Oak they did 1 year, and then it's Universal. So they like to go into smaller municipalities. So they would need an answer so we can move forward.
Okay, and just the interesting thing, like July 4th is one of the events that like this might be one of our constituents' only interaction with the city the entire year. And so, with that in mind, I feel like it's worthy of an investment. Though, it's not, I know we debate the budget and stuff, but I think some people really enjoy this event and it's worth it.
And I'll definitely come back with more details. I would just need city council approval to get that started.
Yes, Mr. Hefner.
Yeah, I'll second what Mr. Stevens said. Great job, especially on the shortened time frame. Agree with the spasmatics if we can go that route. I think it's a great opportunity. I I think we've got some assets with the city that we can use, right? So, like, for example, we have the screening and the sound system that we use for movies in the park. Maybe there's an opportunity to set that up. I know that I heard several people, if you were more than 30 yards from the stage, you heard nothing, right? So maybe it's helpful for people to know that there's announcements going on. We have that screen up there, and then when we're not doing announcements, there's something else going on.
We can definitely work on
Right.
something like
Yeah,
that.
pictures cycling on a slideshow or something like that. So, but whatever. I think we can leverage those assets that we have in the city to accomplish some of the same goals while also keeping those costs down.
All right. Yeah, I certainly do appreciate all the efforts that the staff and you yourself, Maribel, put forth on this very shortened 4th of July parade and a party. I always call it a party. It was great. But I had a couple of things. I think we ought to have a fiddle or a horn to play America the Beautiful or something like that, for the 4th of July. I think we could add something like that. And then also, what was I going to say about, it just went out. I've got my, we have plenty of time to get more sponsors and early, because we would be increasing our cost if we did the high altitude fireworks and then the spasmatics. But I guess I wanted I don't know if it's chief or who, but I wanted to know, how did the lack of a fence impact the event? Because I didn't see anybody. I thought it was okay. So I know that was we hadn't had one in many years. We always had one many years back, and this was the first time we said no fence. So I just was wondering what the evaluation from the staff was on that. So.
Great question. That's probably police chief.
Okay, well, I just, I thought it was much, I don't know, I just liked it better. I don't like to feel caged in, and then letting people just bring their own ice chest. And I just thought it was a great family event. And so I personally would say, let's continue that. But I didn't know if we had any incidences that we had to address or.
No, we did not. And I think that having the parade and then the fireworks immediately thereafter, you didn't have time in between to spend enjoying the liquid beverages that you normally, and it's too hot. So that's when you really had problems. But I think that's where there was more orderly, cleaner when people left. So I would suggest that, we give consideration to not having a fence, but I will talk to both chiefs to make sure that they concur.
Yes, because we used to check bags and, no this, no that. So that was a big change this year. Yes, sir.
And Mayor, I'll echo that. I heard from several citizens that were really happy with the evening. While it was hot when we started and had the parade,
it cooled off
really quickly.
Yes.
People were able to easily move from the roadside back into the park without having to go through a bottleneck. And the food trucks, even with, allowing people to bring outside food in, the food trucks still said, we need more. There were long lines. There was a lot of demand. So I don't think that those things are mutually exclusive at all. I think we can allow everyone to come.
Thank you. Thank you for those comments. Yes, Mr. Martinez.
Mayor, I would like to say, as a council, we give direction to staff to start planning for the next 4th of July event.
Okay, and would that be to include securing a band,
Securing the band and keep it at the afternoon parade.
Okay.
But really, we need to start a year in advance to really properly do it.
Okay, very good. Okay, Maribel, your work is cut out for you.
We got
you can do it. Okay, very good. Thank you. All right. Yes, I see Eric. Come on. I just wanted to be sure I didn't have any other counselors that wanted to say anything. Good evening and welcome back, Mr. Mata. See, I had you in mind with the horn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric Mata, Canterfield, always happy to volunteer. My talents, for city functions. So, just want to say thank you to the council for making this possible. I know there was some concern moving forward with this event, but I'm glad we did it. I think we needed it. The community needed it after all we've been through. And yeah, I don't want to rain down on all the good vibes that we have about this event, but you know, the $30,000 spent on staff overtime kind of concerns me a little bit. And I know, I mean, we were made aware that that was going to be something we'd incur. Just wonder, you know, with security, with our police department so well staffed, why we're spending $30,000 on security. I could see if we went outside to an outside firm to come in and cover that, maybe spending $15,000, $15,000, but to have staff members that work, you know, full time for the most part. I mean, there might have been some reservist on there, but it just, I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me that we're spending that kind of money with people who benefit, you know, as full-time employees. So I'm wondering if there's a way we could get creative and work around that, especially if we're going to be investing in a stage and a live band. Yeah, we might want to rethink how we're going about that. The other thing I'd say is, I know Councilman Bradshaw and I and some other people went to the celebration in Helotes, and they have a community band in Helotes, a symphonic band, so they played a lot of patriotic music and film soundtrack music. It was really cool. So I'm wondering if, I mean, I can help out with that and see if we could tap a local group to come in to perform in that manner as well. So most of those groups are volunteer groups, so I don't think there'd be much cost incurred, maybe some kind of honorarium of some sort, but something to look into. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I just had a question for the manager. On this overtime, is it because it's a holiday and so it's like double overtime we have to pay them? Right? I mean, it's expensive. Okay, go ahead. I mean, just to explain.
For the police.
Yes,
a
it's
lot
more
for
than
the
police.
Uh-huh.
So you have other staff there as well.
Okay.
So you're paying 2 shifts. You have firefighters that have to be present. You have regular staff that we try to use. You saw me there. I was a worker bee. And so I was acting, you know, they were directing me around the event. And so we try to use as many exempt staff. We saw a lot of department directors there. But we do need hourly staff in order to make this event possible. And so you're paying public works to be there as well. And you have more public works staff there. And we work in shifts. And so you're also paying, you're paying double time on if it falls on the actual 4th of July and we do our parade on the 4th.
Always.
So you're paying double time for the hourly employees. But you get the exempt staff like me for free.
There you go. All right. So. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. Any other questions or comments on this before we move to the soapbox derby? Yes, Mr. Stevens.
So, and I agree. There's a part of me that agrees. I know labor is super expensive on holidays, especially, and then when you're in overtime, it's even more expensive. I wanted to see if there's a way we can break up, because I think a portion of it is the 5K also in the morning, right?
So we try to use as many reserve officers, but we do have some staff that will go and help direct the runners if the Historical Society doesn't have enough volunteers. Like I showed up just in case they needed extra staff to hand out water or direct people. So we try not to use hourly employees and only exempt staff, especially for the morning part. And it did help tremendously in overtime this year that it was all grouped to the end. But you did pay police officers to close down the streets, keep them closed because people will move barricades if an officer's not standing there. We had Melinda and Yvonne at one barricade just helping, and they almost ran over Yvonne, and because she wasn't a police officer, went around her through the barricade. Luckily, no runners were there. So you really do need police officers at those barricades enforcing people not to go through to protect the runners. So you are paying overtime mostly on the PD side for the 5K. And then we do have a couple of firefighter paramedics in case we have people with heat exhaustion, that kind of thing happen. But you're not paying another shift. We don't get a second shift on for the 4th until the parade actually happens, because you have to have people stationed here to make regular calls, and then you have to have people there just in case there's fire from the fireworks or an incident happens there. They're not trying to struggle to get through the crowd to assist. And then you have public works in the morning, setting all the booths out and trash can. A lot of that's done the night before, but they're still doing the preliminary setup that day. And then
they stay very late pulling all the trash out so the animals don't get in it during the night. And then we're there the first thing at 7 a.m. the next morning to clean. So, or 6 this time. We were there at 6 a.m.
But you also did make a comment that it was a lot cleaner as well, didn't you?
Correct. Yes,
Yeah.
it was a much cleaner this year.
Well, we reminded everybody to please pick up after himself, and they did it. So, okay. Very good. Thank you. Any other questions? If not, we'll move on then to the next presentation, and that is presentation direction on the Soapbox Derby event. And we have again Maribel Mendoza to continue her presentation. Thank you. Oh, this is not the right presentation.
It's not on here.
There we go. Very good. Thank you. Appreciate getting it up for us, Crystal. Okay, so if you'd like to begin,
So we
Maribel, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So we begin with the Soapbox Derby event.
Okay.
Perfect. So again, the purpose of the presentation is to receive direction from City Council on selecting the date for our Soapbox Derby this year. This is just a 2019 event recap because again, we didn't have the Derby last year. So for in-kind sponsors, we spent $27,540. Monetary sponsors, we had $21,580, and city expenditures were around $24,945. So we just an estimate on what some of the expenditures would be for this year. If we, when City Council decides on a date, we have the track setup and staging of $5,496. A lot of that is maintenance. We haven't, again, the cars have been in storage for almost 2 years, so we don't know really the condition that they're in, specifically the track. The track is PVC piping, so shouldn't have any major damage, but we just don't know what we would have to set up the track to make sure that it's in still good condition. So the track setup and staging amount, again, is just an estimate. We don't necessarily know how much we'd spend for that until we physically take all of the equipment out and see the condition it's in. Derby car maintenance, that has to do with the tires, brakes, and car wraps. Some of the wraps may have been scratched up, or the wraps, the design taken from the car, so some of those would have to be replaced. But again, we would have to take it all out to make sure that everything's good to go. Advertisement and signage, which would be sponsorship signage and message boards. We would need, again, same message boards to let the public know which roads are closed during that event, specifically Evers Road and half of Poss. Miscellaneous fees, miscellaneous fees would be the licensing fee from Soapbox Derby itself, volunteer shirts. We actually already have some of those shirts. We don't have to make that expense unless there's a specific shirt size that our volunteers need. And then just bags for drivers that would consist of their helmets and their goggles. And staff overtime was $5,525. I guess the main difference between this overtime versus the fourth is that we had a lot more volunteers in 2019. We had John Marshall Magnet School. They were our, I guess, security during we had all the barricades off of Evers Road, so we didn't need police officers there because they were there to help us with the road closures. Next one. So next steps to select the date. I know City Council earlier this year decided to do the full 24 drivers, and we each driver must practice at least 3 days. We do need to close down Evers and Half of Paws for 3 Sundays within the next month to make sure that the drivers are familiar with Evers Road and how to drive down. It's a little bit different when they're driving down here the street just to practice versus actually going down Evers Road. A lot of our drivers do tend to get scared a little bit more once they physically see which street they're going down and the speed. They are going between 25 to 30 miles per hour once they go down Evers Road. And the practice route is by the fire department, so they don't reach that speed. So we need to make sure that they're ready for that speed once we practice with them. So here are some possible dates or any other date that City Council would like to see. And I stand for questions.
Okay. Do you have a commitment from all 24 car owners? Because these are from the past, right?
Correct. So
Okay.
out of those 24 cars, 16 of those cars are the city's.
Oh,
10 of the 16 were actually donated to the city, and the rest were expenditures that we made in previous years.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Yes. All right. Councilor Bradshaw.
So it's kind of along the same line as the mayor's question. The 16 cars that the city owns, you know, if a company were to say, you know, they like the aquarium that they wanted to sponsor it, is there a fee for them to sponsor it? They get it wrapped, or
The wrapping fee.
that's just to get it wrapped?
Get it wrapped.
There's no
And just the
$500 sponsorship fee or something. It seems like that would make sense to offset the cost or something like that.
Correct. So they would, from previous years, it was between $500 and actually $1,000. It really depends if they want their own car, they want to build it. It's $1,000, and they start from the beginning. If they want just to sponsor a Leon Valley car, it's $500.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Thank
Councilor
you
Roscoe.
so much. How do you determine who are the kids that get in the car to drive? Do y'all have a raffle, or how do you select your 24 drivers?
So we typically start with our schools. A lot of the teachers and principals help us with that. We go for either the most improved, straight A's. They have a pool of kids, and then we just get the list and start calling parents. Once we can't find the drivers, then we start advertising it out to the public from other areas. But we stick locally first, and if I can't get the 24 drivers locally, then we go out.
But it's also limited because that's a tiny car and the child has to be kind of small, right?
So certain weight,
Yeah,
the entire vehicle needs to weigh
You
the
can't
entire
be there.
vehicle needs to weigh 200 pounds with the kid inside it.
Oh, so the car plus the child,
200 pounds.
you can't, okay. And you actually weigh the cars before they start.
Correct. We weigh the
Okay.
cars, then we weigh the cars with the kiddo in it,
Okay.
and then we determine the weight. Because we don't,
So the kid better not gain any weight while they're practicing. There you go. Okay, Mr. Martinez. Thank you.
To me, it seems like if you get some business to sponsor a car, then they would also be responsible for the car maintenance fees.
Correct.
And in the past, I don't know if Marshall still has it, but we used the Explorer Post. I guess it's police Explorer Post to help with the, closing the roads and keeping people off the track and stuff. Do they still have the Explorer Post?
So the chief can probably respond to this, but so we requested them for the 4th. There's some issues because you can't leave the child unattended, so now they have to be paired up with an officer anyway. So you can't just leave them at the barricade post unattended. They would still have to be with an officer. So it posed more of an issue than it did help.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, but still, it gives them a feeling of worth, to be helping people. And, a lot of those groups strive to help in events like that, even if they're paired up with an officer.
Oh yeah, we still ask if they want to come and participate or if they need hours. They can come hand out flyers or do things like that or walk the prep. But I was going back to the 4th because it was on the holiday. They were unable to.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any other? Yes, Councilor Hefner.
For this licensing fee, we're paying Soapbox Derby. Is that like an organization?
Correct.
That has the branding. What are we getting for that licensing fee?
the authorization to use their logos, the insurance, for the actual race. So once we pay that licensing fee, we give the date of when we want to have the race. And it's $1,200 for that.
Yes, Mr. Martinez.
But that also, the winner can also go on, move up to other events.
If they choose to, yes, sir.
Yes.
So
it's
we
not-
send them the winners. We send them first place and second place, and then they reach out to them asking them if they would like to go into the Akron, Ohio race.
So there's a lot of upward mobility.
You had me at insurance.
And we also do have everyone sign a waiver prior to this. All the parents sign a waiver once they do the application. There's an application process.
Okay, one more question. Yes, Mr.
Sorry,
Hefner.
what was the age requirement for the?
7 to 12.
Okay.
And girls are eligible. In fact, a girl won the first.
She did.
First soapbox a couple of years ago. Yeah, exactly. Yes, Councilor Bradshaw.
So I think the first time they did this, we've done it twice, right?
Yes.
Twice. It was very successful. A lot of people came and it was a good turnout.
Tied to the 4th, though.
It was on the 4th of July, that's right. Then we moved it to, was it October, November?
October.
And it was freezing cold. We had a freak storm, a cold front come in. It was so cold. And so that's my only concern with having it. If I was going to say October, I would say earliest better. But I almost wonder if it'd be better in the spring, like in March or April. I mean, is there any consideration? Anybody? I don't know. And I'm maybe, I don't know, coordinated with spring break time like that. That would work. Some, people are out of school and stuff like that, more likely to attend.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Because I know October 23rd is our coffee. It's a quarterly coffee that day. So, but the 16th, the 6th, and the 13th, you were saying, I don't know when that was, but we do have weather does play a factor. So,
And we typically have it during the Halloween time frame, but we have our Northwest seniors and their trash and treasure on the 30th, so I was not going to do that to them. I try to block Everett.
And our annual garage sale. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the 30th. So, okay. I don't know. I sort of like your idea, Councilor Bradshaw, maybe move it to this early, March.
Yeah, I would say move it to spring break, right? Like whenever one of the weekends that is on the bookends of spring break for Northside ISD. Do we need a motion or do we need action out of this or just direction?
Direction.
I was just going to say that, and I don't know I don't have a calendar in front of my mind. Of course, we weren't able to have Earthwise Living Day this year, but it's usually the first Saturday of March. So I just wanted to make
March
sure that,
5th,
I just wanted to make sure that it wouldn't be that day.
Correct.
So, okay. Cross marketing? Well, it's just a lot of commotion that goes on that day. But anyway, I just wanted to make that aware. Okay. Anything else? And so we've already got this budgeted for FY21.
Correct.
Okay. All right. And then for FY20, since we didn't have it, that just rolls over. Okay. That's good. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions, comments? All right. We'll move on then to the next. Thank you, Maribel. Do appreciate it. And agenda item number 5.4, discussion and possible action to provide direction to staff regarding potential amendments to Chapter 15 zoning code regarding required setbacks for carports in residential zoning districts. And we have Mr. Milan again this evening to present this discussion item. And welcome back.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor and Council, thank you. Purpose of this item tonight is to discuss setbacks for residential carports within the city, particularly with regards to the R1 zoning district, which is the zoning district that exists primarily throughout the city. And so tonight, the intent is that we can have a discussion about it, that was at the direction of council, and the council can potentially direct me as the planning and zoning administrator to initiate some potential code amendments to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and then potentially have them make a recommendation on that, and then bring that back to council for final decision. because these setbacks are within the zoning code. So any code amendment, any zoning code amendment that's made ultimately by the council, it has to be first considered by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they do need to make a recommendation. So this is the first step, kind of determining what council's priority is here and direction is. So I'm going to keep my presentation pretty brief. You know, I'm here to provide y'all with facts based on what is required right now, answer any other questions, and interpret the code for you guys.
Okay.
So like I said, I kept my presentation pretty brief. Currently, the code does not have any specific regulations that pertain to carports. The code considers carports the same way it considers a primary structure. It's a permanent structure, and the code says all permanent structures within the code need to abide by the front yard setback, side yard setbacks, and rear yard setbacks. These are the current residential setbacks to the city. These are our residential zoning districts. Like I said, you look at our zoning map, most everything in the city is beige. That's the R1. So within the R1 zoning district, the minimum front yard setback is 25 feet. So what does that look like when you're really walking down the street? Most of our neighborhoods, the property line is on the edge of the sidewalk that's closest to your house. That's usually where your property line. Some neighborhoods are a little different, but most of them are that way. So if you want to, when you go home tonight, you can kind of walk it off, and your house is definitely going to be at least 25 feet from that sidewalk. And if it's not, don't call me, so we don't have to deal with it. Right now, if somebody's garage is set back 30 feet from the back of that sidewalk, presuming that that's where their property line is, they've got 5 feet to play with. And so, for those of you that are here that weren't here for previous council meetings, this came about because, I've been getting, I'm not going to say tons of calls, but I've gotten at least 2 or 3. We had a gentleman that came down, and, he was a very nice guy, and he was asking what the options are. And I was like, your council can always change it. So that's why we're talking about this tonight. So there's going to be a few people that are asking. And so that's why we're here tonight, to see if this is something where we can accommodate them or keep the code the way it is. So like I said, here's the other districts. I think we've got just a few R2 districts throughout the city. Nobody's going to put a carport in front of their apartment. We do have a few garden size developments. Pavona Place, the Ridge, those are R6. So the setback's a little bit more reduced because those are a little bit more compact neighborhoods. So really that's my presentation here. 25 feet is what it currently is, and right now with most of our 8,400 square foot lots, that doesn't leave people any room for carports. There was a time, and I've looked back through the books. Our setbacks have always been 25 feet. We do have carports throughout the city. If you look over at Sun Valley, which is, y'all know where the Sun Valley subdivision is, just west of Seneca, there are a lot of carports in there, and when I get people that ask me, they always say, well, I've seen them in the city, and I've seen them over off of this street, and Sunsetter. And so that, how the carports are here that we currently have, I can't answer that question. Maybe that was a different zoning administrator that had a different interpretation. But since I've been here, and my predecessors, most immediate predecessors have had the same interpretation, that a carport is considered a permanent structure and it has to abide by the
setback rules.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So any other direction or code amendment, like I said, would need to come from the council.
Are there any other cities that you've researched that have carport setback rules?
No, ma'am.
No, they all go by this general criteria.
Right.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, Mr. Hefner.
So just want to make sure that I'm understanding correctly and how this differentiates from Agenda 9.1 that we discussed earlier this evening. That item was for accessory buildings and the setback related to them. This item deals with permanent structures that are not accessory buildings. We treat them just like primary residences.
Correct.
And that is what a carport would fall under. So the changes that we made this evening would not change what's on the slide here.
No, sir. And it wouldn't change that because the code does specifically address accessory buildings. And what it says is that accessory buildings have to be located in the rear yard. And so, you could probably call it, you may be able to call a carport an accessory structure, but calling it that would kind of be a moot point since a carport's always in the front anyway, and accessory buildings have to be in the back. So I think that's why, we don't know. Yes, sir.
Any other questions, comments? Yes, Mr. Roscoe.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe we've all had an opportunity to speak to the gentleman you were talking about that came to address the council, and I'm totally for it. And how would you do your code amendment on this? How would you change the wording on that?
I don't have specific language yet. Frankly, I don't have that. And that's if it's the pleasure of the council for me to do that, I can write a fantastic code amendment for you. Change the definitions as necessary. One of my favorites is the cosmetic tattooing. Proud of that definition. So if it's the pleasure of the council, we can definitely make that happen through the definitions and through the code amendment. Something like, all primary facades that are, solid must adhere to the setbacks. But if it's open or something like that, then it can. If it's open air, then it can encroach a certain extent. Again, that's just.
Thank you. Yeah, I would really like that. I would really support that change, and hopefully the rest of the council does as well.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Mr. Stevens.
Yeah, so I share that thought. I talked to Mr. Alonso, the chair of the zoning commission, for a little bit, and he had told me I haven't really analyzed a lot of this stuff related to zoning, but apparently the style has kind of changed, where used to you would want houses that are super far set back from the street. But now there's more of a feeling of community, I guess, in newer neighborhoods where oftentimes the houses will be closer to the street, and there's less front yard, more backyard. And so it kind of just a changing trend, I guess. With that being said, in the other thing that I'm thinking about is now, especially with COVID, I think a lot of employers realize that people can work from home. And so I know some people that have done conversions of their garages into offices, which then you don't have a place to cover your car and protect it from hail, which we know a lot about. So I'm in favor of this. I think my own opinion and kind of where I'd start at is maybe this is a good thing to do with special exceptions, but create design standards. So there's minimum standards you have to adhere to, so we don't get a bunch of crappy carports, but so a set of minimum standards, and then probably and that's why the exception might be important, because you might want to consider the view of, if it's somebody at an intersection, you don't want to take away, clearance for vehicles that are passing by and stuff like that. So I think there's certain things where you would want to evaluate the actual circumstance, and then how close that carport might be to, an adjacent house or a business or something like that. So
I think those are great points to bring up. I will say, regarding your conversation with Commissioner Alonso, yeah, he's definitely right. That's kind of the term for that is new urbanism, where it's the idea is moving structures closer to the street. That way the building interacts more with the street and you're bringing people closer to the street. So I will say, it's not, bringing carports closer to the street isn't exactly bringing cars and making cars more of the street. Because a lot of cases, I will say, when I talk to people, they say, I've got my $40,000 Dodge Ram and I need a carport for it. Well, you need a carport for your $40,000 Dodge Ram because your garage is full of 30 years worth of boxes, And so I will say, I wouldn't say do it for the reason that it's following the tenets of new urbanism, because that's intended to bring buildings and porches close to the street so your neighbors are outside. Do it for different reasons other than for that pursuit. And as far as design guidelines, I totally agree with you in terms of being concerned about the aesthetics of carports. And something to keep in mind, we are limited in the extent to which we can regulate the appearance of carports, because before 2 legislative sessions ago, there were requirements in our residential zoning district for having to have having to have materials that were fire resistant. So you couldn't, not only could you not build a carport because of the setback, you couldn't build a carport because you can't put something aluminum out there because permanent structures have to have fire resistant materials. Like hardy board is a cement material, so it does have a fire radius. That's how you can have, hardy board. And so, but now with that recent legislative change that says that cities cannot regulate building materials in commercial residential zoning districts, now the setback is the only impediment to putting up a big carport with grandma's flower pattern on the roof or something like that. We can't regulate that. Yeah. And then design is a whole other can of worms where you get into, does it need to have little coupons. Design has so many different elements of regulation. It gets tough, and we can tackle that if y'all want to. It's just complex.
So could
Yes,
we
sir. Go ahead.
require that it might, like, and I haven't thought this through, but maybe that it be attached to the house? Could that possibly be, because I think most of the people that have wanted carports, they only want a small, a small extension. It's not like they want to put it all the way out to the street. But also it sounded like the ones that I have heard, at least, they want to adjoin it to their house anyway.
We do get those. I'd say, I'm trying to think of some of the carports that we have done. There's one that was done in Forest Oaks that was attached to the house, and they actually kind of brought it out like a gable, and it looked nice. It was made with timbers, and so y'all can, but then you're getting into the permanence of it too. When it's something that extends from the house. Now, is it a carport, or is it just an extension of the roof structure, which increases that presence? And it sounds like a simple topic, but when it comes to design, it can get pretty complex. So again, I don't have all the answers for you guys. I think these are great questions. Don't have all the answers. Definitely look into it.
Do we have carports that don't adhere to those standards?
Currently in the city? Yes, ma'am.
Okay. A lot?
I haven't done an audit of it, but I tell you, if you go home tonight and look at Google Earth, most of them, because I've had people specifically say I saw it in Sun Valley. Sun Valley has a lot, the curved streets.
I hadn't realized that it had to go by the residential setback, because I do see them a lot, but I didn't realize that was connected.
There are several in the city that do not comply to the setbacks.
All right.
So.
Very good. Okay. Anyone else?
Do we need to make
So
a
this
motion
is
on
this is just discussed impossible action or to provide direction. What direction would you like to give to Mr. Milan?
I will, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I would say just
Go
to create some amendments to our code to allow for more leniency, while paying attention to the design standards. And I don't know, with or without a special exception, I don't know. But maybe the pros and cons of with or without.
Yeah, we can come back next time with some kind of a menu of options to at least keep the dialogue going on. Yeah, definitely do that.
Yeah, I would definitely like to have the emotions with the one that Constance sees about the obstruction of the street and the corner. But yeah, I would like to have you go forward to the code amendments for Chapter 15, zoning code.
Would y'all like me to bring those options straight back to y'all next time for more discussion, or just go straight to P&Z?
Just straight here? Okay.
Yeah, I'd recommend that he come here first, and then you can make a decision on certain options. Then we can move forward with that. One of the things that's really easy is that under the districts, you can eliminate districts really quick and only identify either R1, maybe R6 as potential options, and that's all.
Although apartments do have.
Yeah, but that's different. I mean,
It's different.
The tenant would be building.
That's
the
true.
carport
It's the
for the property owner.
That's
so.
right. Thank you. Okay, so is this a motion?
Yeah,
by
so I'll
Councilor?
try to. So I'll make a motion that we
Okay.
have our planning and zoning director create some potential amendments or draft some potential amendments that allow for more flexibility with regards to carports and bring them back and we'll then go from there.
Okay. That's a second. All right. So we have a motion by Councilor Stevens and a second by Councilor Roscoe to direct the planning and zoning director to bring back options for proposed carport amendments related to Chapter 15. Is that appropriate?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Because you said Chapter 15. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank y'all.
Mr. Mullen, do appreciate it. All right, we'll move. Hey, we haven't had announcements in about a month. So we've always had to move on. But anyway, let's do our announcements this evening. And Mr. Martinez, would you like to begin?
Thank you, everybody, for being here, and hope moving forward we can start getting control of our agenda and make it a lot more concise and better for the people in the audience viewing us.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Stevens.
I thank you for everybody for attending. Just want to remind you, we're all ears open. If you ever have an issue, bring it to us and we'll see if we can address it at least. The other thing I wanted to remind people is CPS Energy is starting disconnects, or they're anticipating them. I happened to be here when there was a meeting, and there is, according to the email I received, there's 561 residential customers that are eligible for disconnect, totaling almost $500,000. So CPS is willing to work with you if you're behind. So I just encourage you to call and see if you can, because they'll set up a payment plan for a long time, and then you can kind of, hopefully be able to make it. But if you have trouble, reach out to me and we'll see what we can work on.
And there's also businesses as well.
Yeah, and there's
in the city
some default business accounts as well. So.
Thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that. Yes, Mr. Hefner.
Yeah, thank you for everyone who's here tonight. I really don't have a lot. My daughter turned 7 over the weekend, and we had a little ice cream social with the neighbors. Felt like National Night Out, so it reminded me that that's coming up here in a couple of months.
On my list. Yep.
I think that's coming up. I think early October.
4th.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So look forward to that.
Very good. Thank you. Roxy, do you have any questions? And Mr.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilor
and welcome everybody, and welcome everybody who's watching. We did register our dog with the Leon Valley, and I know that there was controversy as far as registering your dog and paying Leon Valley to register the dog. But the good thing about this is that we registered Norm, and I see a lot of people losing their pets. If you scan the chip that they send you, it can tell you how to get the dog back to the owners. So that's a good thing about it. So I encourage all of y'all to register your doggies and caddies. And that's all I got, Mayor.
Okay, very good. Short, sweet, and to the point. All right, Councilor Bradshaw.
Yes, thanks. Everybody's coming and watching online. I do have some sad news. As you noticed today, I'm wearing black, and I want to offer my condolences to the Phoenix Suns, who lost in the NBA Finals to the Milwaukee Bucks. Congratulations to the Bucks, and I do owe Councilor Orozco a steak dinner over that. So, again, sad day.
I know. I think that was the last council meeting they were playing.
It's only a game, right? Yeah, it was last council meeting.
It was the last council meeting.
So we get to the announcements. So probably a good thing. So, thank you.
All right, you betcha. Well, I just wanted to say that it was an honor and a pleasure to be invited along with City Manager Perales and Assistant City Manager Caldera, and it was Will Cox and Police Chief Gonzalez and Maribel Mendoza, and we were at the Next Gen Cafe, which was the old Leon Valley Cafe, for a soft opening on Monday, and met the owner, Vanya Artiaga Ruiz, and her family. Very nice people and very excited. They are going to open the restaurant on Monday, August the 16th, and they'll be open Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 8:30 p.m., closed on Wednesdays and Sundays, and they have an area that you can order coffee and smoothies, kind of, trying to connect it to the library. Like if you go to the library and you'd like to get a drink, then they're going to have that. But anyway, I would encourage each and every one of you to go there. They were very gracious to my husband and I, and fed us, and it was delicious. So I didn't need cheese enchiladas, but boy, they were good. Ooh, they were really good. And they have a nice vegan option as well. So, all right. Next, Elaine Valdez came to the coffee with the mayor and council last Saturday, and she's passed out these bumper stickers to me and several of the other counselors. And I don't know, what, if anything we'd like to do with this, but I know there's cost associated if we were to duplicate this, and it says Leon Valley Proud, and she was really, she designed it, and she's very proud of her efforts. I know I spoke with the city manager, and he said maybe the chamber would like to sponsor, something like that. So anyway, just food for thought, but let me know if you'd like to do anything with this. And I want to thank Elaine Valdez for her effort and her initiative to want to kind of connect our city together by this bumper sticker. So thank you. I did have October 4th, National Night Out. If you're interested in hosting a party, it's a Tuesday. We will not have a city council meeting that night. Most of the council will be in Houston attending a TML convention that week, but the police department and fire department will take over, and they'll go to each of the parties and again educate on safety and how we can come together as a strong neighborhood. So mark that calendar. If you want to host a party, just contact the police department. TxDOT update. I wanted to thank the everybody that participated in going online and giving your input on what Bandera Road needs to look like in the next 20 years. We had good participation on July 14th, and I did hear back from the coordinator, Chad Gardner, who works for TxDOT, Haft and Associates, and he said they're moving on to having a meeting with the technical committee on August 31st. But I believe he said that we got a good response. I think it was like 33 actual written responses back, but like 700 people had actually viewed the presentation. So well attended and well, the input was very, very good. So thank you for that. And then this Friday, August the 6th at 9:30 at Fajita Express, right up here on Bandera Road, we are going to participate in the groundbreaking with the TxDOT Commissioner Laura Ryan and City Council Anna Sandoval, myself, and other officials to thank TxDOT for adding sidewalks. I don't know if you've noticed it. They've started it, but they have committed to adding sidewalks along Bandera Road. As you know, this Bandera Road project isn't going to be a reality for about 20 years, but they want to make sure that we're safe and we have access for pedestrians and along Bandera Road. So thank you to Councilor Sandoval and her staff for organizing it, and to Commissioner Laura Ryan for coming down. All right, so that's it for me, and thank you so much for being here. Just really appreciate that. All right.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Oh, yes.
When, August 6th, at what time?
August 6th at 9:30 at Fajita Express this coming Friday. So yeah, anyone's welcome to come. You bet. Thank you for that. All right. Moving then to the city manager's report. Mr. Perales, good evening and welcome. We're so glad you're here.
Good to be here, and thank you all for being here as well. Mayor, a copy of the report is outside, and you can find some of the data on the online as well. We have a couple of things to add. One is that even though the Phoenix Suns lost, Chris Paul did end up with a 4-year contract. So
that's right.
No, I just want to let you know that the ARP funds will be available mid-August.
Okay.
And the amount has increased slightly to a little bit over $3 million.
Yeah.
I also wanted to give you an update on the meeting that the council directed me to have with Judge Morales. And that meeting went very well. He will be revising his standing order regarding court decorum and redefining the area where photography and audio and video is not permitted without his consent. The area defined is the courtroom and the prosecutor's area. And this will be approximately effective August 15th, once we get the materials to build an office type for the prosecutor. But everything else will be open and accessible to anyone coming in to the city.
Thank you.
The mayor mentioned a little bit about Chacha's new gen, and she did have the soft opening. I believe the owner is here today.
Oh, yes, I see her.
I also wanted to remind council that of the city's effort to promote the back to school supply drive. And I think there's a pencil-like trash can or container, container that will be located in 3 different areas around town for people to donate school supplies.
And who do we give those? Who will we be giving those school supplies to?
Good question.
I mean, I know all the kids need it, but is it
students,
Northside Independent School District or?
Just the local schools here.
Okay.
Leon Valley Elementary.
Okay.
And
Driggers, yeah, okay, very good, thank you.
And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for the city manager on his report this evening? Yes. Counselor Stevens.
I just wanted to say thank you for working on that with the judge. So that's been on the to-do list, and I know there's probably some people here that are happy to see that. So thank you. And I also, so the back to school drive, the bin locations, because people don't have this flyer at home, it says the yellow bins will be in front of Leon Valley City Hall and in front of the library. So in case you want to donate school supplies.
Very good. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Now we move to the consent agenda, item number 8.1, 2, and 3. Does anyone on the council want to pull up any of the consent agenda items for discussion? Yes,
I'd
Mr.
like to pull
Martinez.
item 3.
Sure. I'm sorry?
I'd like to pull item 3.
Okay, 8.3. All right, so 8.3 will be pulled for discussion. May I have a motion to approve 8.1 and 8.2 as presented?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilor Hefner and a second by Councilor Stevens to approve consent agenda item 8.1 and 8.2 as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. And at the request of Councilor Martinez, we will discuss 8.3, discussion and possible action on a resolution amending the lease agreement with Cha-Cha's Cafe by removing one of the lessees from the agreement. And we have Crystal Caldera here this evening to present. Thank you, Ms. Caldera, Dr. Caldera.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council. There's not a PowerPoint. All we were doing was there was 2 leases on this agreement. You had Miss Margarita Banya Ortega on the lease with her brother, Ricardo Ruiz. Ricardo Ruiz was formally requested to be removed from the lease. He is been removed from the lease. The only other, the contract is a 2-year agreement, beginning from the time that y'all increased the rent from 400 to 800, which y'all did at the beginning. It became effective July 5th. So the agreement will be for a 2-year agreement from July 5th forward. That's just the way the agreement was written.
Okay, very good. And I'd like to introduce Banya, if you'd like to stand up, the owner of Cha-Cha's Next Gen Cafe. Thank you. And her husband, Alejandro. How are you? And thank you so much for being here this evening. And again, if you have any questions for them, they're here, as well as Dr. Caldera to answer any questions. So did you have a specific question for?
Well, number one, normally, even if you had a lease on an apartment and let's say, 2 friends got together and rented an apartment and one of them decided to move out and both names were on the lease, typically the apartment would not let the other person out of the lease until the expiration date.
We would have to go into executive session to discuss those parameters with the attorney.
Okay. Number one, that's my first concern. And, what if, God forbid, they default and, then we're stuck with the.
Again, we would have to go back into executive session.
I know, but this is my concern. Another thing is, if we were to agree to remove Ricardo from the lease, it shouldn't affect the term of the lease.
It doesn't.
So, no, you just said it extended.
That is the current lease. The current lease, you raised the currently, I didn't change the dates, it didn't change the terms, it didn't do any of that. Per the lease that the council voted on in December, it clearly states that the agreement is from 2 years after the adoption of the increased rent of 800. I didn't write that lease. I didn't approve that lease. Y'all did. It's on, I went back to double check it. It's on where it says when you increase the rent to 800, that's when the 2 years becomes into effect. Okay.
Now that is very unusual. Normally the term of the lease, if you change it,
Yeah, we're not changing the term of the lease.
We've had, like with the previous renters, they had the lease start date, and if we modified, we did modify the rent but it never changed the term of the lease.
She signed the agreement effective January 15th.
I know, but I
And
guess
so
we
what
should
if,
have, I guess that's something we should have looked at and not agreed to, you
that
know.
was before I even came, before Ms. Kensler left. Okay,
Okay,
Hang on, then you're next, Mr. Bradshaw.
but what about, you know, let's say a default, you know, we're letting one person off the hook. I just have bad feelings about, you know, taking somebody off of the lease.
So if you want to talk about default, we would need to go back into executive session.
Okay. Let's get some more questions. Mr. Bradshaw, go ahead.
So without getting into the legal questions, just on principle, I agree with Mr. Martinez about removing somebody's name off the lease. That would kind of take away their liability, my opinion. And then just to point out that I was the only member of council at the time this lease was agreed to. And even then, I had questions about its legality. Nothing against the owners, nothing against the cafe. I just think that this is a sweetheart deal. And if you look at the terms that are on the lease, it basically says, you know, it's $400 a month until COVID's listed. Then it's $800. And then after the 2 years, they have an option to renew at $1,200. It's their option to renew. So that's another year. And then if I understand it right, it says if they don't move out, if they just stay there and they don't terminate, that they continue on at that same rate month to month. So it doesn't look like it's a very good lease in the city's favor to me. The way that it was written, it was all one-sided, which was typical of the previous administration. That's, you know, as we know, the city did these kind of deals all the time that were in favor of one side and forget the taxpayers, no matter what the property's worth or how real estate's going or whatever. So that's my concerns with it. And I also have some legal issues with it.
Right. Thank you for those comments. Yes, Mr. Stevens.
So I don't necessarily want to waste time on this, but I do think that's an interesting. Can we take the renewal option off if we're amending it? Can we refuse to?
We would have to go back into executive session to discuss it. This item is just to amend the lease to remove one of the leasees. That's the way the agenda item is written.
I know it seems like if we
the-
give them what they want, though, we can get what we want, which is to, we'll take you off the lease so long as we delete the renewal portion, you know, of that lease, and then we could talk in 2 years.
So we would have to go. My issue is that their C of O, all of that's already done. They've already passed all their inspections. So.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean?
That's any business
She
in
wanted
Leon
to say
Valley,
something.
and instead of paying $1 per square foot, which is like the going rate, they're paying way less.
So I just don't know what the ramifications are to what, since they're already there, right, getting ready to open, what the ramifications are to go back and try to amend the lease. We would have to go talk to the attorney about that. I can't respond to that.
They also did some major renovations to both bathrooms. They look beautiful. They really do. So Vanya, the owner, is here. Come on in. Come on up. Is it Arteaga or is it Ruiz?
My name is Margarita Banya Ruiz, and in November we will be remarrying, and I will be Arteaga.
Okay, there you go. Because it had it on the lease as Arteaga, so
I'm sorry,
I wasn't
I have
sure.
a really hoarse voice because I was trying to get
And
it
thank
open.
you and welcome. And what would you say to
Thank
the comments tonight?
I agree with
Mr. Stevens?
Mr. Stevens, and I also agree with Mr. Bradshaw. I mean, if the restaurant is creating new jobs and if it is, producing what it's supposed to be producing, I would like to do the proper thing and be okay if whatever ramifications need to be properly set to pay the appropriate taxes. That's a blessing to my business, and it's just the right thing to do, and I'm okay with that as well.
Okay, is that taxes or rent?
I'm sorry, rent.
Okay, just
I
wanted to
apologize.
clarify that.
I think he just said to be an appropriation with that, and that's what I meant. I apologize.
All right. Mr. Hefner had a comment or question.
So I think that if we have questions that need to be addressed in executive session, we can take this item And is there some urgency that we're not aware of around removing Mr. Ruiz from the lease? That it
Not
needs
on
to happen
my part.
immediately? Okay.
There was not. The motion was set on his behalf.
Understood.
So,
So I would recommend that we table this table this item until we can take this into executive session. I don't know if we want to do that tonight or if we want to do it another night, but yeah, let's put it on the next meeting. But I think we need to talk in executive session, get advice from the attorney around that emotion.
But that doesn't preclude her from opening on August 16th, correct?
No.
I just want to be sure.
Thank
Okay,
you.
very good.
And I do want to say something. I have been working really hard without Ricardo since January 15th, which I just wanted to, I'm not in a hurry to do it. I just would like to, I think he had an accident where something hit him on the head at HEB, and he was unable physically to open with me, and he was open and honest with me about that. And so he wanted to be removed from the lease, which I think was, the appropriate thing. I would like to open on the 16th, and I thank everybody in Leon Valley for Melinda and Crystal and everybody for making that possible. Brandon and David have been very supportive, and as well, thank you, Mayor, for visiting the site and doing the ribbon cutting, and Gilbert as well. Thank you so much, and I'm just really grateful.
Just while you're here, you want to give some background? I think a lot of people,
Yes.
where you got your chef and your experience. I think that's important.
I graduated from Le Cordon Bleu and have been cooking behind closed doors. A lot of people didn't know that Ricardo had a sister because I'm the back of the house operator, and I am. I hate to call myself the chef, but I'm the chef and the cook more than anything. So it slashes out the chef. I've always been keeping that consistency in that food, and running the back of the house operation, I think, is just as important as running the front of the house. And so my job has always been in the back of the house. So I do have I think the assistant general manager that was at Gloria's will be the face that you will be seeing in the front of the house. I will remain in the back of the house like I usually do. I will walk out, of course, to say hello if requested, but it takes a lot to run the back of the house. That's really we're the operation, we're the machine that helps that restaurant.
But prior to this opening, you worked with your parents in the Chacha's restaurant?
Prior to this restaurant, I did open the location right next to the Flores Country Store, and even before an operation, I just heard some information that the city of Helotes believed in me so much so that they had a $24,000 grant, and I received $20,000 business grant to start that business then. And I closed it because I have 3 beautiful children and they were very, very young. And I don't regret that decision. And more than anything, it put a lot of experience behind the operation that I'm doing today.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you. I just wanted to a lot of people
Thank
did not
you.
know
I
your
appreciate
background,
that.
and I
Thank
just
you.
wanted them to hear that. Yes, Mr. Stevens, go ahead.
So I just had a question for you, and I know we aren't going to discuss this tonight, but would you be willing if we if we remove Mr. Ruiz off the lease like you're requesting, would you allow us to then adjust as we amend your lease agreement to also take off the renewal option at the end? And then the city has the option to bring you up to more market rates in
please.
2 years.
Yes, I think that's appropriate, and it would make me uncomfortable. And yes, I am very much
Okay. So it wouldn't change anything for 2 years.
Thank you.
And then, okay.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
That'd be wonderful. Okay, so may we have a motion then?
Yeah, sorry, I'll move that we table this item until next council meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
You
we
had done that, and I looked at you and I said, yes, come on up, Mr. Pulliam. My apologies. We'd love to hear from you. This is a citizen comment. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Justin William, Fort Bend County. And I actually leased a building in Leon Valley a while back. I wanted to set up a studio space, and I received very hostility from the then city administration. So I just decided not to pursue that anymore. But I think how great it would have been to have a deal where I could pay $400 for a while and then be allowed to speak and address the city council as a prospective business owner in Leon Valley, and not had my rights violated then. And then when I decided that, hey, I don't want to speak anymore, hey, can I just get my name removed off the contract and, let's keep everything else but modify the contract. That's what I'm trying to say, is that this is, from the very beginning, has been an outrageous, and it's nothing against the occupants. I mean, if I could understand the appeal of a really good deal, prime location, good rent. I wouldn't take it if it was, if there's any sort of like subsidization, cronyism involved, but I could understand the appeal. This is a sweet deal. This space should, if the city's going to continue using the space for this purpose, I strongly feel that as promptly as possible, there should be an open auction for those interested in that. And let's see what the market rate of this facility is. I'm thinking it's going way under the market rate. And that brings me to another thing. I really don't think any city employees, city officials or anything should be accepting reduced price or free food from this establishment. That goes to even cops on duty or whatever. I really think that raises some issues when a tenant that's receiving probably a really good deal and then the elected officials are getting food. I don't know about that. So I really hope that instead of just giving in to what the tenant wants, if you're going to do this, take a look at the whole contract. And as Mr. Martinez was saying, Councilman Martinez was saying, yeah, I mean, it's sweet, they get this but they want to make it as easy for them as possible. They got it initially with 2 tenants, 2 leases. If something happens, both of them should be on the hook. I feel like it's not that much money as it is. And so the council picking winners and losers, picking favorites, it makes me uncomfortable. It makes it seem, it makes me think of the word cronyism and then even corruption. And I don't think those are terms that this council wants to be associated with the city. I think instead y'all might like to have business friendly and fairness associated with the city of Leon Valley. And I thank you all for your time.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Pulliam. All right. Anyone else? Yes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilor
Can I ask
Russell.
you a question, please? You're scheduled to open August the 16th, is that correct?
I'm sorry, we're scheduled to open on August 16th.
Now, if Mr. Reese stays as a lessee on there, does he get half your profits?
I don't know.
Or you got another different agreement?
We don't have
table this.
We don't have an agreement at all. So, I mean, we don't have an agreement. None whatsoever. It was really early in the, we didn't even have an attorney yet. And in all honesty, I'm really sorry for this gentleman whenever he did have your business. And I apologize if at that time that was happening. I think because of the COVID is what I understood. That's why this had gone into place. And I did not know that that was happening, or I don't think that there was any of that going on that you had mentioned. As I know, is because of the COVID, it was there to assist business owners, and they were looking for somebody that had had experience in a restaurant before and wanted to create jobs, is what I understood, and also do profits to the city. And I had never had an agreement to give a discount to police officers or city officials. It was to all emergency responders, be it from San Antonio, Shirts, anywhere. I really, really, really appreciate those who put their lives first, and they were all to receive a discount, not just here in Leon Valley.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Bull, you had a comment or a question on this agenda item.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Evan Bull from the Forest Oaks Canterfield neighborhood, and I want to thank Ms. Banya for being here. From a lot of the comments from both on the dais and off the dais I've heard tonight, is really really confusing and let the earth open up when I say I have to agree with Mr. Pulliam, thank
Okay.
you. I blanked for a second. I've been up for 2 days now. When it comes to being business friendly, I don't know why this has to be such a hard discussion. It's a request in line with the contract. If you don't like the terms of the contract that you created in December, then you should have been more diligent in all aspects of the contract, including how each partner may exit. A lot of contracts will have that first and foremost in place. The amateurish way of handling that contract should not be on the shoulders of the business owners who came in and, as she stated, took fair advantage of a situation that benefits the city and their business. And I don't think anyone can ask more from a business owner or even from a city for allowing that. But the citizens should be able to ask that the city officials who are behind making the decision of the contract pay more attention to the contracts you're making with these businesses and these individuals. Thank you.
Mayor.
I just wanted a correction.
Clarification,
Yes,
if I
exactly.
may.
Go ahead, please.
None of this
Yes.
council was involved in that contract at all, including myself, who was on the council. I was not there for the vote, and it was a contract that was predetermined before the meeting. And I will also point out it was done on the eve of the election after midnight. So there's lots of clues there.
Okay, thank you. I was looking through the packet because I knew it was not in December. It was like, it was earlier. Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah, Eric Mata, Canterfield, and sorry. So I was about to point out some things that Mr. Bradshaw pointed out, and yeah, amongst the despicable decisions made as they left out the door, this was kind of rammed down everyone's throat in a sense, and so it's unfortunate. And I think Mrs. Banya or Artiega, she seems. I mean, she got up here and said that she'd be willing to pay the fair market value, what was fair. So I think I see her as kind of in a sense a bit of a victim of the circumstances that were taking place at that time. And at the same time, we've said we want to be business friendly, and I think hopefully we give her a chance to kind of come to terms with some of these poor decisions that were made at the time. And so yeah, it seems like she's willing to work with you guys, and so I'd encourage you not to, in a sense, make her a victim of those circumstances at the time, and give her a chance to negotiate with the city. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for those comments. Okay, if I don't see anyone else, then we do have a motion and a second, I believe, don't we? We don't. Okay, the motion.
I'll move that we
Okay.
table this item until the next meeting to discuss with the
It's
attorney.
August 17th.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Counselor Hefner and a second by Counselor Bradshaw to table agenda item 8.3 to the August 17th, 2021 meeting and hold an executive session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Thank you so much for working with us. We appreciate it. And welcome to Leon Valley, and we'll work this out. All righty. Thank you so much. Good night. Thank you, Alejandro. Good to see you too. All righty. Take care. All right. Now we're back on agenda item 9.2. And Ms. Posley, that's an ordinance. Would you please read that? And this is a second read, and we will take a vote unless council says otherwise. Thank you.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council granting a zone change from B3 Commercial District with sustainability overlay district zoning to B3 commercial district with no overlay district zoning on lots 68, 70, 71, and 72 glass service subdivision, providing for repeal or severability and savings clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Milan,
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
our second read. I know we had a big discussion last time. We've got some citizens to be heard letters to read, but do you have any updates?
No, ma'am. I do not have updates.
All right. Okay. Did we not hold a public hearing last time?
We did not hold a public hearing, so we do need to have a public
So we
hearing.
need a
this time,
public
correct?
hearing. Thank you so
But
much.
I don't
for
have
that.
any updates to my discussion. I know we have a lot to
Okay.
discuss, so I don't want
Very
to
good.
take away the time.
All right. So let me go ahead and, let's see. Hold the public hearing first, and then we'll hear from our people who have. That's right. Let's do that. All right. So at approximately 8:52 on Tuesday, August the 3rd, we are opening a public hearing on agenda item 9.2, and that is the request by Mr. Daugherty for a zone change from B3 Commercial District with SO Sustainability Overlay District zoning to B3 Commercial District with no overlay zoning on 4 acres over there on Poss and Grissom. So we have Cassie Rouse from the Zoning Commission here to comment first. Thank you and good evening.
Good evening, Cassie Rouse, Grass Valley. I'm sort of here half officially, half as a citizen. So I was asked last time to convince some people that were maybe on the fence about this one. So I took in just 15-minute scan of the comprehensive master plan and discovered a lot of language that sort of says we really shouldn't be taking this plot of land out of the sustainability overlay. And I have it on here, some of it. I'm not going to read it all because it'd take too long. But there's a lot of words like how we should be careful, prudent, wise, cautious in how we use our vacant land. And this is a large plot of vacant land. There's a lot of language about how we want things to be sustainable environmentally, sustainable economically, and I'm just not sure how taking it out of the sustainability overlay would go with any of those goals. And there are some things to be said about the proposed project that's not on the table tonight because this is just about removing the overlay. So there's some things to be said about the specific project as well, complying with the goals in the plan. And it is the plan that we have. If you want it changed, that we would have to redo it. So it's the plan we have, so it's the plan we have to go with. There are many goals. There's even in the City of Leon Valley vision statement, which is shorter than the comprehensive plan, there's language that says we'll provide a diverse and versatile business environment that supports a healthy economy. And if the recession in the early 2000s, the pandemic, the Great Depression have taught us anything, that diversity is what's going to keep us floating as a city. And so that's sort of against storage in general. But for the sustainability overlay specifically, we're an environmentally minded city, committed to facing challenges associated with population growth and capacity restrictions by utilizing the smart growth approach. Now, Hank's a great salesman. He came in here with, I need to get this done quickly. So now you're in a time crunch. That's a great sales tactic. He came in here with, this is the only idea that's going to work for this land because of the shape it is. So now you've got a scarcity of ideas of will anything else even work? Also another great sales tactic. And we need to recognize those things. And he is a salesman and he's great at his job. But you need to realize we don't need to be in a rush. There's no rush on our part. There's no scarcity on our part. I've seen many, many plots of land that shape get developed beautifully. There's not a scarcity of ideas for how to use that land. And as we have very small amount of vacant land in the city, we need to be really careful with what we decide goes there. We need to think about the vision of the city. And I don't think the vision of the city fits with just willy-nilly removing things from the sustainability overlay. And there could be a bigger picture here that we can change by looking at. But I don't think doing it one project at a time is a great idea, because that's how you get the mouse to eat the cheese, and before you know it, you have no cheese.
Okay, very good. Thank you for those comments. Do appreciate it. All right. Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Bull.
Thank you, Mayor Council. Again, my name is Evan Bull, First Oaks Canterfield. And I'm also kind of here because I was sitting on the zoning commission, and I was as an alternate in making the voting voice that evening when this came before us. And when you look at what we were looking at, you can see I was visibly hesitating, because the problem is that this gentleman brought forth the idea that retail could work by simply adding in the idea of retail to try and sell his idea for this situation. We already have retail there. We already have retail being developed in that area. We already have mixed use with the townhome situation going there. So the idea, the very spirit of the quote unquote town center idea, which bred out of the sustainability overlay district, is still very much going forward today. Maybe over the last 9 or 10 years it hasn't been. It's been a weird past 10 years, I understand, growing up out of the recession. But we're now facing a new time, especially with COVID. It is creating whole new avenues and paths for everybody in business. And this would be a very limiting vision for the community. Again, like Ms. Rouse was saying, we don't have to rush. Our responsibility is to ensure that the land is used most responsibly with a diverse way. We don't have to eat it up as fast as possible. We can wait a while until a better idea comes along. So that is what I have to say on this evening. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Pulliam.
Justin Pulliam, Fort Bend County Mayor and Council. I would assert that I would prefer less regulation as possible, but to the extent that there is a regulation, it's not the city council's job to make sure that the land is used to the best purpose, or what I think the translation to that would be is whatever is the preference of the council. I think it's to make sure that the land is used and is consistent with the existing regulations and codes of the city, not the council's preference, but is it consistent and as far as granting special uses, what has the council done before? Well, they've granted a lot of permission to build, and I would think that the people of the city and the state, it would be our preference for things to develop. So we have things that we can use, and not only do we get to use that, but the council gets more revenue. And I did notice that, especially things like the impound lot and sales tax were a bit down. So why not add more revenue to the books as soon as possible? And if it's consistent generally, why not let it develop? Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the chambers that would like to address this topic during the public hearing? Okay, if not, then let me ask Mr. Stevens to read his letter, and I've got another letter as well.
Yeah, so I have two, Mr.
Letters that
Yeah,
came
one is
together.
short and one is a little longer. To the Honorable Mayor and City Council, I have attached two letters on behalf of two individuals, and this is from Stephen M. Pett. And so I have two letters. I'm going to ask for the first one. It might take me 4 minutes if y'all could just allow me to, because it might be my fault if you know. The other one's shorter though. So, dear Honorable Mayor and Council members, in reference to the Leon Valley Storage Project and Sustainability Overlay, negative impacts to my business. And this is from Mr. Larry Little, owner of Poss Road LLC. Introduction and support for the Leon Valley Storage Project.
Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Larry Little, owner of Poss Road LLC, located at 6737 Poss Road, a set of 3 warehouse buildings with retail fronts in Leon Valley. My warehouses are directly in front of the backside of the proposed Leon Valley storage project, which has frontages on Poss and Grissom Roads. I am generally in favor of the proposed Leon Valley storage project. However, would like to see the backside of the project to have retail fronts on Poss Road, similar to those proposed for Grissom Road, so my tenants aren't facing a stone wall, but rather other retail businesses. This would enhance Poss Road and allow for more retail spaces in the area, which is the city's goal. Sustainability overlay, negative impacts on my business. The issue of the restrictiveness and negative impacts of the sustainability overlay on businesses came up at the city council meeting held on July 20th, 2021. The city has allowed sustainability overlay exceptions for Paradise Car Wash, U-Haul, Miracle Paint and Body twice, and now possibly for Leon Valley Storage, a project I support. In all cases, these exemptions are needed to help the businesses flourish so they can bring additional sales tax dollars to the city. About 50% of the tax revenues the city receives are from businesses in Leon Valley. These business taxes ease the property tax burden for the city's residents. So the more business sales taxes can contribute, the more residents can enjoy a lower tax rate. I too am in need of an exemption of the SO for my business warehouses on Poss Road to have my businesses flourish and to bring additional sales tax dollars to the city's coffers. Here are the negative impacts of the SO on my business that have resulted in reducing sales tax revenues for the city. I rent my warehouses built in 1984, which was before the SO, as traditional warehouses to certain types of businesses, even though those businesses are appropriate for warehouse facilities. Here are some examples of what has happened to legitimate businesses in Leon Valley that were tenants in my warehouses and opportunities missed for not only my business, but sales tax dollars to the city, as these businesses are not acceptable under SO regulations. In the spring of 2019, 2 of my tenants were given 24 hours notice to vacate by the city as they did not meet the SO regulations, yet were appropriate for warehouse facilities. This caused an extreme hardship on these 2 businesses and on my business, as well as lost sales tax revenue to the city. These businesses are now located outside the city of Leon Valley and have vowed never to return to the city of Leon Valley after maltreatment by the city. Referrals and word of mouth are a powerful thing, and only one hopes they do not spread the negative word about their abrupt and unfair treatment by the city of Leon Valley. The city's goal is to be business friendly. However, the reality is that is not. On numerous occasions, me and my realtor have had to reject potential tenants as they did not fit within the confines of the sustainability overlay, yet were viable businesses which could have yielded sales tax dollars to the city, such as a cabinet company, a landscape company, a plumbing business, and 2 mechanic repair shops and a furniture storage company, just to name a few of the many, many viable tax generating businesses turned down due to the restrictiveness of the SO. Conclusion, I support the Leon Valley Storage Project, with retail on the backside facing Poss Road if possible, and the exception of the Sustainability Overlay District regulations for the Leon Valley Storage Project and for my warehouses on Poss Road. Thank you for your consideration, not only to help the Leon Valley businesses such as the Leon Valley Storage and Poss Road LLC and others, but also to help grow your sales tax revenues for the city to ease the tax burden on city residents. This would be a win-win for Leon Valley businesses and residents alike. Please vote yes to the Leon Valley Storage Project for the benefit of all. Sincerely, Larry Little, owner of Poss Road LLC. And then this one is a lot shorter. So this is from a Darren R. Kirkendall. I might have butchered that and I apologize. I wanted to write this letter in regards, this is actually to Mr. Little. Mr. Little, I wanted to write this letter in regards to your building on Poss Road that I am in charge of leasing. I see. This is an attachment that he's using, I guess, as an example. I wanted to write this letter in regards to your building on Poss Road that I am in charge of leasing. As you already know, the city of Leon Valley has overlaid the property with a sustainability overlay use guideline that continues to make it very difficult to lease your property. This building was not designed for retail use that the sustainability overlay is trying to impose, nor will it ever be suitable for that kind of use when you look at the parking requirements, ingress, egress, and items that retail buildings are typically designed for. We've lost multiple leases to uses like HVAC repairmen, electricians, and others that are looking for a good home for their business. It's imperative that we get the city to work with us on removing the sustainability overlay so we can fill your building and others like it. Mr. Darren R. Kirkendall. And maybe he's the property leasing agent or something.
Okay, thank you. And I had another letter that I was going to ask Council Member Bradshaw to read, and I got an email this afternoon from Dr. Earl, but I asked that it be forwarded to each and every one of you, and I don't see it. I think I sent it to the city manager. Anyway, I'll read that one as well. So, Councilor Bradshaw, if you'll continue, please.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Uh-huh.
The Honorable Mayor Riley, Honorable Council Members Bradshaw, Hefner, Martinez, Roscoe, and Stevens, City Manager Perales, Assistant City Manager Caldera, and Planning and Zoning Director Millat. Regarding August 3rd, 2021 City Council meeting agenda, item 9.2. This letter concerns our PDD rezoning application for our land parcel with municipal address 6758 Post Road in the city of Leon Valley, located in the block west of Bandera Road between Post and Grissom Road. This letter also concerns Mr. Daughtry's zone change application from B3 with sustainability overlay to B3 with no sustainability overlay on approximately 4 acres of adjacent land located in the same block. Our group has made a substantial investment to date to present our plans for a mixed-use residential project that fits with the city's revitalization plan and the spirit of the sustainability overlays zoning objectives. Mr. Daughtry's zone change application is made with the view of a public storage facility with a retail front. The approval of such application by council substantially impacts our current plans for our parcel and the potential viability of our proposed mixed-use residential project in that block. Mr. Daughtry's application has been preceded by at least one other application to waive the sustainability overlay requirements, which has been approved by council. In the last council meeting held on July 20th, 2021, council decided there is merit to Mr. Daughtry's application, which passed the first reading. Other landowners in the block, such as Mr. Rubio, Mr. King, submitted letters in support of Mr. Daughtry's application. Our group decided not to oppose it. Instead, and in lieu of granting Mr. Daughtry an exception waiver of the sustainability overlay zoning requirement only for the parcel subject to his application, may we respectfully request that the council consider moving to vote on August 3rd, 2021 in favor of dispensing with the sustainability overlay zoning requirements for the entire block delimited by Bandera Road, Post Road, and Grissom Road. This approach creates a uniform and equitable solution that allows property owners in that block, such as our group, to reassess the use of their land. We respectfully submit this request for your consideration and sincerely hope that you find it to be reasonable. We also respectfully ask the administration that this letter be read in session. On behalf of STS Partners LP, Samir Shahada, and Azim Fancy.
Okay, very good, thank you. All right, and then this afternoon I got a letter from Dr. Daniel Earl, who is the principal of the veterinarian clinic at Boston Grissom. And it says, Dear Mary Riley, and again I ask that each council member receive a copy of this. I hope this letter finds you well. As you know, a year ago this past weekend, we moved into our veterinary hospital on the corner of Poss and Grissom Roads in Leon Valley. We have been very successful relocating to Leon Valley from just down the street in San Antonio. I don't know how involved you were with our specific project, but at the time we built, we were forced by Leon Valley to comply with the Sustainability Overlay District restrictions. We were told on numerous occasions that there would be no way to rezone or to remove these restrictions. These restrictions were very severe, but we complied. Leon Valley afforded us absolutely very little grace during our project, and these restrictions literally added over $1 million to the cost of our project. There is no other building in our area that even comes close to complying with these restrictions. That being said, I know that Mr. Henry Daughtry is seeking to have the property adjacent to us rezoned out of the overlay district for his project. I totally understand Mr. Daughtry's intent, and even though we were not given any consideration, I'm in favor of his request and wish him well. Please feel free to contact me if you have any specific questions or if I can be of any help in any way. Sincerely, Danny Earl, DBM, Covenant Care Animal Hospital. Okay. Are there any other letters, comments on this public hearing? And should I thank Mr. Daughtry? Okay, Mr. Daughtry, did you have something that you wanted to add? And I'll just take it.
Well, I think I'm going to call it a night.
As per the city attorney's recommendation. If you'll come to the podium and welcome.
Good night, all. Remember, as always, sharing is caring. always be a good neighbor, no matter how close or how far you may be.